My name is Kenneth Ober. I'm an artist. I live in Bisbee, Arizona. Maybe. I make paintings, block prints, collages, sculptures, found object assemblages, and lately I've been making a lot of very large sculptural things that have turned my property into a roadside attraction. The most notable is a tree skeleton that's about 40 feet tall, and there are 36 chairs painted bright red hanging in this. It's called the Cherry Tree. You can see it on Highway 80, just east of the traffic circle in Bisbee. Prior to the pandemic, I had worked my way into a for sale by owner situation on a property in Los Angeles. I was traveling around the Western US, living primarily in a Sprinter van, doing art festivals in places like Jackson Hole, Wyoming, Park City, Utah, Mill Valley, California, Scottsdale, Arizona. I was selling paintings, I was selling block prints, I was working with galleries. Business was good. Business was really good. I felt like I was living my dream. I was selling more paintings than I ever imagined possible. I'd put all this in order, and when the pandemic happened, it became quite obvious there was no way I could pay the mortgage. There was no way I could pay a bank loan, real or owner financed. And all of the art shows that I did shut down. All of the galleries and designers suddenly had no more business. And my first thought was, I need a holiday so bad. This is great, I can't go to work. So, not being able to pay my mortgage forced me to have to sell the property, which worked out okay because I made a little bit of money even though it was the pandemic, and that enabled me to come to Bisbee and purchase this property here in 2020. This property was the DMV, the Highway Patrol, and the ADOT yard. So some kind of actions went on in here, and then later in life it was converted into a part-time residence. I left out the part where the house and 7 outbuildings were all filled with stuff, top to bottom. There was so much furniture, junk, antiques, all kind of things everywhere in the buildings. And so obviously I like it. I've now been here almost 5 years. I'm just flooding my yard. I want the rocks to grow. I just put in this new sign with all these arrows kind of pointing all the different directions. I've developed a fascination with the sort of folk art nature of hand-painted signs. The way I was making my paintings, which is with this vintage tool designed for pinstriping automobiles. It's patented in 1934. Paint goes in this chamber here and rolls out on the edge of the wheel, making a precise line of any length, much like a marker or pen. The downside to this is I was spending hundreds of thousands of hours making only one move with my whole body, and it started hurting my shoulder. This is part of what factored into, I need a holiday so bad because my shoulder hurt a lot. I thought, I'm not going back to art shows. I don't see the chance of making money there. Plus, maybe just making the same object or item over and over and over is not the way for me. So in coming to Bisbee, I'm now working in all of these different mediums. This lady, she needs some help, obviously. Maybe she needs extra legs. I'm not sure yet. Making all different kinds of movements, it's like creative CrossFit. Instead of one motion, it's a much more holistic creative process that stimulates my brain in wonderful ways. Here we are in my Collage camper. It's a 1974 Road Ranger that's been gutted and refurbished. In here I have a collection of several hundred pounds of vintage magazines that I am using to explore the art of collage. I've never made collages before. This is a whole new territory for me. Kind of wrinkling and folding them to make them into some sort of imaginary topographic maps. What you see here in one of the 8 structures on my property is a collection of hand-built and kit-built model airplanes that were created between the 40s and the 90s. Several years ago, I purchased an amateur nursery from a young man up in the Catalina foothills of Tucson, and I started dividing and propagating and seeing if I could develop a small nursery business. This property needed a lot of work, so I bought all the tools I didn't have, and I started fixing everything up, and that has led to me working as a contractor and handyman for other folks in town. I was calling it a nickel and dime operation until a friend of mine said, I'm worth more than that. They're quarter operations. I got a whole bunch of quarter operations going on here to put it all together and make the world keep going. In my pre-pandemic life, I was very focused strictly on painting, and I succeeded. And after the pandemic, I feel that I have sort of exploded like a butterfly coming out of its chrysalis, being able to explore everything I've always wanted to. How many different ways can I create? And there's no limits. I am far happier now than I was before.
Hi, I'm Tom McNamara, host of Arizona Illustrated. Thanks so much for watching this story from our show. And for more local stories from Arizona Illustrated, just click right here.